You ready?
Yeah, let's do this. Hello, everybody. Bree Milani here with Sky Insurance on the Greatness Podcast, and I am super excited. Totally last minute, got Julia on here. We have Miss Julia Beals with Realty One Group.
Woohoo! Excited to be here.
I know. I'm really happy this worked out. I've been texting you a lot. Can you come on my podcast? And today just kind of worked out. I'm like, hey, 1 o'clock. You
Sometimes last minute is the best way to do it.
I agree. I think this is going to be a great show.
Yeah.
How are you? How are you feeling? If anybody can't see, Julia is 29 weeks pregnant. Congratulations with a little baby boy.
Thank you.
So exciting. We won't say his name yet, just in case you're not for sure.
Yeah. Then I can't change it if I need to.
If your husband goes back, he'll be like, that's not what we're going to name him.
It has changed a few times already. So
that's normal. We did that. With Kennedy, we knew for a fact that was her name. But Kaysen, we were like, Carson. We had all these different variations of what we actually named him. So don't write it in stone yet.
It's a big decision to make. So.
It is. No pressure.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to have you on. Tell us a little bit about you, your husband. Obviously, like we said, baby on the way, but a little bit about you.
Well, I don't know where to start. We are local here. So this office for Realty One is out of Rocklin, but we technically live in Lincoln.
Good old Lincoln.
I know. Stinking Lincoln.
Stinking Lincoln. But you have a beautiful house there, and I know you bought it 2 years ago now?
It'll be 3 years in February.
Oh my gosh, that went by quick. And you've done some remodeling.
Remodeled the whole dang thing, which is a lot of work. I'll buy brand new next time.
Hey, you learned from our mistake because we did the same thing. Our first house, remodeled the whole thing, and we were like, we will never do that again.
I will never do that again.
No, it's
Living
horrible.
in it, it's dusty, it's dirty. It's fun picking what you want, but it's dirty.
I'll tell you what, designing a new build from the ground up was so much less stressful than doing a remodel. So.
Yeah, and then you can add your little touches, but
Yeah.
you don't have to completely replace 3,000 square feet of floors.
Yeah, that sounds awful,
Yeah.
especially while growing a human and some dogs. And
I think it's the dogs that are honestly the hardest part.
I agree.
But so yeah, we're here in Lincoln. But I was born and raised in Cameron Park, Shingle Springs. So and then Sac State alumni. So I've
Singers
always
up.
been. I know. But I've always been local. Never really lived in Roseville up until 4 or 5 years ago, I guess.
I think that's when I met you.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And your husband, you're a fire wife, right?
Yep.
So your husband is a firefighter. He's gone sometimes, most
All
of the
the
time. All the time. I mean, we live in California. Let's be honest. He's never busy, right?
Yeah. But he's a Roseville native. That's
Yes,
how you know
he
him.
is. Yeah, funny story. Actually, her husband and I went to high school together, and Julia's first time going to PCAR, the Placer County Association of Realtors, she told her husband, and he's like, yeah, there's this girl I know I went to high school with. She checks in there sometimes. And you're like, well, I only met one person.
Yeah.
And he shows her, and it's me. And that's who she met. It was me.
Yep.
It's such a small world. And how small this community is actually crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Especially just for you guys. If him and I go to the store or something, we always run into people he knows.
yeah.
And I'm like, this is why I'm happy I don't live in Cameron Park anymore. It's
Yeah.
like Roseville, but a fifth of the size. It's so small.
And it's that's a small little community. You would see people constantly if you lived there.
All the time.
I have a love-hate relationship with it because there are times where I just want to go to the grocery store and not put makeup on and be sweaty from the gym and not see anybody. And I always see somebody. And I'm like, they don't even recognize me. I'm like, okay, good.
Well,
incognito.
especially you know everybody.
Well, I think it's a territory of, this job, but so do you. I mean,
I don't know. Well, because
you in
you
real
know,
estate.
you know everybody in different fields though. So you know the lenders, you know the agents, you know literally all over the place.
That's fair. I mean, but you know a lot of people too. Let's be honest. You've been in this industry how long?
It'll be 4 years in November, and I know that because I'm doing my continuing ed right
Oh,
now.
you're like, no.
Yeah.
You have a quite an impressive resume. In the last 4 years, I feel like you don't see a lot of agents get into this industry and just kill it right out of the gate. Like it usually takes a couple of failed years for people to like really get it right. And I remember meeting you. I'm like, oh, she's going to do great because you have the personality, and obviously now you have a huge client base, but everybody that you work with loves you. So it's been impressive to watch, these last 4 years.
It's not an easy business to get into. And a lot of people think that they're just going to get licensed and hop into it and automatically just be successful. But it's a lot harder than it looks from the outside. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I know, like, I've said to you a few times, like, I just want to be a real estate agent. And you're like, no, you don't. Like, this is hard. Because, for me, I don't really want to be a real estate agent. But you look at on social media what we see.
It looks so easy.
It looks so easy and glamorous. Look, I just sold a home. But what we don't hear is, the bidding war you got into or the argument you got into with the listing agent or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
The brutal part of this industry that obviously people don't share about.
Yeah. It is brutal. That's for sure. That's whenever anyone tells me they want to get into real estate, I say, are you ready to lose sleep at night and take years off of your life? Because it's so true. You really do sometimes. Like, I think agents that truly, really care about the client and the whole experience for them, it's like you can't help but think about all these little details, even if it is 11 o'clock at night and you're going to sleep and you're like, oh, shoot, did I remember to order that inspection or whatever it is? There's a lot of moving parts.
I hear that from a lot of people. It's like you have sleepless nights. Let's be honest. You're helping somebody with the largest transaction that they'll probably ever make in their entire life. No pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look at that and I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of pressure. And it makes sense that you would lose sleep at night. So I think anybody listening who's like, I want to become a real estate agent, just know it comes with its territory.
It does.
That's for sure. Because before real estate, you're young, so you were working at Beach Hut, right?
Yeah. I came straight out of college into real estate.
And what'd you study at Sac State?
Business.
So
I just got a general management business degree. But when I was in college, it was like my senior year, and I just decided, hey, let's throw in a real estate license. One day I'm going to buy a house. Maybe I'll use this license.
My gosh.
That's literally what I thought. I was like, I was diehard. I think I'm going to go work for the state, like this 9 to 5. I'm going to have these good benefits. And so I got my license after failing the test twice. It took me 3 times.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
It's a brutal test, I've heard.
Yeah, it took me 3 times. On the 3rd time, I took a shot of vodka in the car, in the parking lot.
Why does that not surprise me?
I swear I did. And then I passed because I just needed to calm down and stop overthinking the questions. And so I graduated college in December 2017. And by January, I was already I think I had 2 escrows in, and I started just kind of going with it.
I think that's when I met you. You were like, I don't even know if you had closed a deal yet. And you're like, yeah, I'm new. I'm just going to come to PCAR and check it out.
Yeah. I think I had just gotten my license then.
Yeah, I think you had just gotten your license.
Christmas time, 2017.
Yeah. I was like, you see a lot of people come in and out of this industry, and you usually know like that person's going to do good. I always felt like, okay, she's got this. You have a good personality and you attract good people. And that's kind of, the whole basis of this industry. But like you said, it's brutal and there's a lot to be learned, along the way. I've heard every deal you learn something new.
It's true. Even to this day, I still learn a lot of new things. But I think as long as you go into it and you just have the client's best interests in mind and you just do what's right, then success can't help but come to you.
Right. And that's all you can do. So now you recently, within the last, 4 or 5 months, moved over to Realty One Group.
Yes,
How
I did.
is that going? It seems like, we're here now and this office is insanely amazing.
It's really nice. They have a keg on tap.
Oh, that's my kind of office.
Well, I don't drink beer very much, especially not right now. But
Why?
they do have wine in the fridge.
Hey,
that was honestly, when I came here, I was like, I wanted good vibes and good energy, and like that is fun, I'm not trying to be in these old offices where you walk in and it's all dark and dreary, as if I come in here that often. What agent really does,
right?
But
if you're busy, right?
I should probably come in more often, but yeah, it's fun. And there's a ton of huge producing agents. And what I really like is that they keep kind of an ongoing, on our website, you can see everyone's production for the month.
Oh,
they
wow.
put the number 1 agent. And so I like that competition sense of it. And I just like that, you see all these names up on that board. So you know all these realtors around you that are really selling a lot of real estate.
And that's huge because you're like, okay, I want to be somewhere in those. I mean, I see them, Greg will post, the owner, he'll post top how many ever in the $1 Million Club or whatever it may be. It's cool to see.
It's cool.
like, especially like I've seen some people that you've brought into this industry up there and I'm like, wow, like Nicolette, I was like, girl, good for you. Like, that's awesome.
It's fun to see. And I think it's good to like celebrate our successes. And a lot of brokerages sometimes forget that.
Yeah.
And people thrive off of that.
Yeah, especially monthly. It's like we always look at the end of the year, look how great everybody did. But when you're really having a bad day and then you see, man, I hit the $1 Million Club every month, you're like, okay, let's keep pushing.
Yep. It's very motivating, I think. And to see so many successful people around you and they produce so much. And it's good to set your bar high because you're comparing yourself to some really huge producing agents.
There are some awesome agents that I know we work with personally in this office that it's just like not even just about their production, just overall like such good people. So it's good to just surround yourself with those kinds of people.
I think there's like 460 or there's like 400 and something agents in this office.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean,
you wouldn't believe it.
No. I mean, we're here. It's a Friday afternoon. Obviously, I feel like a lot of people and
They're
month
probably
end
a
just
happy
happened.
hour,
Yeah, they're like, we're done. Like, we're going to take a break today and then we'll come back.
Yeah. As if weekends are a thing for us. But.
I know. And I think that's honestly funny story is we were selling our trailer and Julia and her husband were like, we want a trailer. And then we like got to talking. It's like, how often do you actually have weekends available? Because for my husband and I, weekends are like our sacred time we have together.
They're off.
They're off. Like Nick does work Saturdays sometimes, but like for the most part, like we can go on, leave on Friday after work and go camping for a weekend.
Yeah.
You guys don't have that.
No. And it's funny you say that because literally this morning I said to my husband, I said, happy Friday. And then he's like, yeah. And he goes back on shift tomorrow.
Yeah.
And like I'm working all day tomorrow. I'm like, as if weekends are ever going to be a thing for us.
And that's okay. You can have Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Because I mean, since COVID, I feel like real estate has really changed a lot. I mean, our market obviously has changed, but with open houses and things like that used to be every weekend, do your open houses. So our open house is kind of back again. Are you guys doing them?
They're completely back up and running just like normal as if COVID never happened kind of.
Wow. Interesting. I mean, because I remember there for a while, it was like no open houses, but it didn't really matter, right? I mean, the industry was so booming, or it still is, that it was like, we'll just take a peek really quick. Okay, yeah, I'll write an offer.
Yeah, I think everybody just kind of had to adapt, to a different model, which sometimes is better because a lot of people that come from out of town go to these open houses and they don't realize they should probably hire a buyer's agent and this person's going to do all this work for them instead of them scheduling and
trying to figure it all out on their own.
Figuring it out themselves. So I kind of liked it when there was no open houses.
I've heard that from a lot of people. It was kind of like a nice break, and the business didn't really change a whole lot. So it was okay. Because I know initially people were like, how are we going to do business? I mean, your business was built on a lot of that. The open house, the face-to-face. It was like, how are we going to do it without having that? And it seems like it worked out.
Well, I think a lot of people, when COVID hit, switched from going to open houses to the internet, and that's how they kind of found their agents. At least people that are from out of town, don't know anybody. But
we did that as a business. Like, how do we stay in front of our clients that I can't just go pop in an office. I mean, I can now, but during really the peak of COVID last year, it was like, how can I go pop by somebody's office that I don't know? They're like, get out of here. I don't want your germs.
I know. Well, and a lot of them are locked.
Yeah, or locked, or they're not even there. They're working from home. So we did kind of the same thing, pivot and do a lot more social media. And that's kind of where this podcast came from. Yeah. And it's been great. It's like we can still do that and not have to be hustling and running by offices, 10 offices a day. Now that 10 offices a day looks more like 4 or 5 offices a day, and I can breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's not been a bad thing. It's been an adjustment, but it's not been bad.
It's a little bit less face-to-face, but then when you do get face-to-face, it makes you appreciate it a little bit more, probably.
Yeah. Oh, for me, definitely. I missed it. I was like, okay, I'm ready to go into offices again.
Yeah. That was your whole life.
Oh, it was. And even now, in our neighborhood, I see open house signs again. I'm like, oh, I'm sure these people are so happy.
Yeah.
It's finally back. So now that you've been in the industry, you said 4 years, that's a good amount of time. I would call you a veteran at this point, 4 years, right? What would you tell yourself if you could go back your first year of real estate that you would do differently, or like something you wish you would have known?
Oh my gosh, that's a tough one.
Is that a fully loaded question?
But you know what I think it is when you're brand new, you're just trying so hard just to get an escrow that you sometimes lose sight of like what the purpose of that escrow is. And it's not just an escrow, that's someone's house.
Right.
So if I could go back, I think that I would have, I think that I would change my strategy a little bit to not so much focusing on myself getting an escrow than finding the client the right home.
Right.
If that makes sense. It's
No,
not
it
like
does.
I sold all these people's houses that
Didn't
they
need
hated
it or whatever.
But people end up canceling during escrow halfway through if they aren't 100% up front or, whatever it may be. So I think that I would have focused more so on let's make sure we find the right home no matter how much time that takes.
Right.
Rather than let's just get into escrow because I want to get an escrow.
Right. And especially 4 years ago, the market was so different than what it is now.
I miss those days.
You had that luxury of being like, oh, you don't like the curtains in this house? Okay, let's go look at a new one. Now it's like, you don't like the paint. You don't like that it has 5 bedrooms. We'll cut down a bedroom. We'll knock out a wall. It'll be fine. Just put it in an offer. Like the world was so different 4 years ago than what it is now.
I miss those days. It was so much easier for the buyers at least.
Yeah. I mean, so talking about that, what is going on in our market? Like from you, if there's an outsider listening that has no idea about our industry, like I hear a lot of people say, well, I'm just going to wait for the meltdown to happen and then I'll buy a house.
I love when people say that.
Yeah, you're like, haha. Okay, let's talk about that.
Remember people that said that a year ago and now all those people that bought a year ago have $100,000 in equity?
Right, and their interest rate is 2%.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. No kidding. Well, I think that sometimes that might be a rumor right now, just going into fall and winter, people are talking about it. But if you look at the last 10 years of trends, it always slows down at this time.
Right.
I think that the low interest rates are no matter what going to stimulate it, but these rates can't stay this low forever. And they are projected to go up. But we said that going into 2021 and they stayed low.
Yeah.
But I think no matter what, we have way too much demand and not enough supply. And that's what's going to drive it. No matter what, because we have so many people coming here from the Bay Area or from wherever.
A lot.
Yes. Probably half. No, probably not half. Maybe like 30% of my clients have probably been like San Jose. A lot of San Jose.
Interesting. Because you do some online stuff. So you get like business from, like you said, people who look online. So that's why you focus your business on it. And it's interesting that, those online clients are from the Bay Area. I mean, you hear that. But it's like, I've always thought, like, is that really true? Now talking to somebody, you're like, no, yeah, it is.
A lot of times it is true. I mean, that's why people are looking on Zillow because they don't know any agents or, whatever platform it may be.
Right.
And most of the time, if you're from here, you know somebody that's an agent or you know somebody that knows somebody.
Right.
So it is a lot of out-of-towners. And I do sell a lot of Bay Area people houses.
That's interesting. I hear it a lot, but, you don't ever actually hear the people, you hear, oh, and there's a lot of Bay Area. For us, like where we live out in West Park, I feel like it's like insane. I'll ask our neighbor, a new person moving in, where'd you come from? Oh, the Bay Area.
Yep.
I'm like, really? Like, I thought this was a rumor.
Everybody's feeling it. And the longer that we go, the more everybody's going to feel it. So I don't imagine anything going, as far as prices, going anywhere anytime soon just because we have so much demand.
Yeah.
And there's just not enough houses.
Are you still having buyers that are just like struggling to get their offers accepted?
It's not as bad now. I mean, for the somewhat qualified buyers, it's not as hard. It's definitely gotten a lot easier, but it's definitely not a cakewalk. There's still 3 or 4 or 5 offers. There's just not 20.
So that's healthy. I mean, the 20, it was like, I remember there was one weekend Nick and I were home and we're like, what is going on? We had a house for sale across the street and it was like, I'm not kidding you, like a line of 30 people. We're like, what the heck is oh my gosh. Like this was probably in, I don't know, maybe May or June when things were like crazy. And I'm thinking, okay, I talk to people every day, but I've never actually seen it firsthand. And I'm like, wow, they aren't kidding. And sure enough, the thing went, it was like not 1,200, I think it was like 1,800 one story. That went for like $799. We're like, what? Like,
yeah.
How much is our house worth? Like, it gets you thinking, but we're like, where do we go? Like, that's our biggest, I mean, we're not moving, but you know what I mean? You're like, it's crazy. So I'm glad to hear it's kind of calmed down a little bit. It's a little more realistic. A lot.
And I'd be lying if I said I lost a couple clients this summer that just bowed out and they're like, I'm going to go rent.
Right.
And it's really disappointing for them because I'm like, you guys, if you quit now, you're going to get priced out, unfortunately.
It's only going to continue to rise. I mean, there was a house not too far from us that was like, they went for like $920. Beautiful lot. We were like, wow.
$1 million homes in tract home neighborhoods.
So this house had an in-law quarters and actually an agent in here sold it. And she she posted it 9 something, and I was like, wow. And so that same layout just sold for over $1 million, and we're like, oh my, I mean, mind you, it's gorgeous, but $1 million for a tract home
in a tract home neighborhood.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, not to scare people listening, but Placer County's on fire. It's crazy. Well, I mean, not actually on fire, because we can't really joke about that anymore.
That's true. That's funny. But think about everybody in the Bay Area probably said the same thing. They would go, what? That house is selling for 500? What?
Right.
That house is selling for 600? And now look, they're 2 million.
Yeah, it's insane.
So
the Bay Area
I
is
don't
like a
think
whole
we're
nother
going to end
beast.
up there, but I think that it's going to keep looking like that.
Yeah.
Like where everyone's saying, what? That house is selling for so much.
But it's like, it's hard as somebody who bought, like you and I are in the same boat 3 years ago. You know, you see all that equity in your home. How do you move though?
I know.
'Cause
I
where do
wish
we
I
go?
wouldn't have sold my first house, and I wish I would have turned it into a rental or something.
That's what Nick and I said on our first house. We're like, oh, that would have been like a
I
perfect
know.
opportunity.
We paid $415 for it. Like thinking about $415 in Roseville now, it's not even a thing.
Our house was $325 in Roseville. Now that thing's probably 600,000. It was like 1,500 square feet.
Yep. We should have never sold them.
I know, we said the same thing, but we were like, we need that money for our down payment, the equity we had. But I mean, it's crazy. I hope you're right. And I hope this market stays and that it continues to be healthy, because I mean, at the end of the day, everybody is kind of saying the same thing. And so I'm just hoping that all these educated people in this industry are right.
I know. Let's hope so.
I think you are. Enough people. I mean, you look at like Ryan Lundquist, who posts like all these statistics, and it's like, there's no way this is going to burst anytime soon.
Well, I think everybody compares it to 2006, 2007,
Right.
and it's just things are different. We're not handing loans out to people that shouldn't have loans
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's very strict. I don't know if you've gotten a loan anytime soon, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
I mean, your refinance or whatever, they ask for a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, you have to have. I mean, you have to prove your documentation. So I agree. And when I interview lenders, that is something we talk about. A lot of them were in it, in that time, and they're like, it's so different now. We can't just say, how much money do you make? Okay, sounds good. You have to have proof of that income.
So everybody that's buying a house right now can actually truly afford that house.
Yeah, which is
They have to.
reassuring, because that's they should. That's
Yeah.
what it always should have been. But
Yeah.
you can't go back in time. And I know you have an awesome team, a lending team that you work with, and I know your guys' biggest thing is just getting those deals closed. And it seems like you guys do a pretty dang good job at it. Seems like she's pretty good at her
Oh,
job.
she's the best. At the beginning of the year, I said to Amanda Stevenson is her name. I said, if we close 30 escrows together this year, let's go on a trip to Maui. And we're at number, what are we at? I think I counted the other day. We're like number 24 or something like that.
Okay, you have that baby, and you guys you're going.
I know. I said, well, that was before I was pregnant. I said,
Oh,
well,
no.
now we're going to have to go somewhere that we could probably bring the
Bring the
baby.
baby.
If we have 6 more, but we
You
also
will.
have October, November, December, 3 more months.
And that's so important to have like a good team, because I talk to a lot of agents that are in the same boat as you, where it's like they have their lenders, their title, you have a great title company you work with, insurance, whatever it may be, having that team, because it's like without them, I mean,
Yeah.
the deals don't work.
And you don't realize how important your team is until your buyer decides they want to use their own lender, and you just can't get them off the ledge to use yours.
Yeah.
And the whole escrow's a mess, and they
You're like,
point
"Just
the
listen."
finger at you, and it's like, well, I told you not to use this lender.
All the other 24 that I did this year didn't happen.
They're so smooth, and it's
Right.
it's even just like the little things that where it's like when you're busy, I don't have time to be picking up your pieces, so it's just nice to have someone that actually does their side of things, and I don't even have to think twice about it.
Yeah, that's huge. And I would say, like, I know on here we have this like basic structure that we go through and ask questions, but really I would say that's kind of like what strengthens you and differentiates you from a lot of other agents. You guys really have a team thing going, and you have like people from start to finish that are going to get your deals done.
And it makes it really easy to have my buyers use her when I can truly say that I believe in it.
Yeah.
And I know that it's going to be a smoother escrow for not only me, but for you as the consumer. You're going to get the best deal possible. You're going to get the best customer experience possible.
Right.
So it's pretty easy to sell. And I would say that I've only had a few buyers that just, I can't
Had
get them to
their
use it. They have their
brother.
brother or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just can't get them off the edge. But for the most part, almost everybody uses her, and everybody's really happy with it.
That's awesome. And I know when I had first met you, you were kind of like finding your groove, and it's cool now, 4 years later, to see that it's like just a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
It's definitely, it doesn't go unnoticed, because I mean, when we work together and we'll do some deals together, it's like they're like, boom, 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 here you go, here's everything we need. And it's refreshing, because you would think that insurance is just a really small piece of the pie that needs the whole deal to be done, but it's crazy to me how often, if you don't have like a good team, it can just go sour, and you're like, okay, it's just insurance. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, come on. And I know their team is just on it. They do a great job, and obviously you're part of that. So
Yeah. Well, even this week with the one client I sent over to you guys,
Yeah.
they were with a different lender.
yeah,
and
I noticed that.
she goes, the lender told me to just call whoever does my car insurance and just call them for a quote. And I'm like,
No.
this could be a lot easier. Let me just do it for you.
yeah, here. I'll reach out to that lender because it's true. It's like people think it's just insurance, but it really can cause like lags in a deal that it doesn't need to. Like
It can.
It's crazy to me. And a lot of people are like, yeah, just call your 1-800 Geico or whatnot. And it's like, no, it's just like loans. It's like, you don't want to do a deal with an online lender. I mean, yeah, they serve their purpose just like 1-800 Geico does, but for closing loans, it's not a good purpose served with that. So
It's crazy how many pieces to the transaction there are. But when you have a good team, it's just so smooth, and people don't even realize that you're collecting insurance, you're doing all these conditions. There's so much going on.
Right.
And as long as you have a good team, it really does go smooth.
It
hopefully.
does. I mean, most of the time.
Yeah,
that's the goal. And we always say, like, we're all human. We're going to make mistakes. But
I don't know. All my escrows are perfect. I'm just kidding.
Girl, no stress. It's easy peasy. That's not why you're in Hawaii or anything, was it? That's not why you have to go on so many vacations, right?
Oh, my gosh. That's why I say I have to vacation when I work in this industry.
Oh, I feel ya. I mean,
as if I don't. I'm working my whole vacation anyways,
I
but
know. Hey, it's part of the
at least
territory.
you're at the beach.
Yeah, just wait till that baby comes. You'll be like, okay, we're gonna go to San Diego for the weekend. No more. I mean, we're gonna go to Mexico with the kids next year. I mean, this will be like a real. We'll see how it goes because it's a lot traveling with kids. That's why we got a trailer, because we're like, just throw everything in there and we'll just go for the weekend. It's so much fun. But
and the flight will be interesting.
That's
At
what
least
I'm
it's
dreading.
only 3 hours, I think, to Cabo. Or is that where you're
we
going
haven't
to
booked
Cabo?
him. Yeah, we're going to Cabo. We haven't booked him yet. I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie, but
I'm
I'll let
sure
you know
it'll
how
be
it
fine.
goes.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
By then you'll probably have gone to like 4 different places with your baby. I'm like over here like, oh,
He won't be
gosh.
walking yet, though, or crawling.
That's
yet.
true. We took Kennedy to Hawaii when she was like 9 months old. It was the best time ever because she wasn't running around yet.
Yeah.
So do that before
I
he gets
remember
old
when
enough.
you guys went there.
Oh, it was so fun. If I could go back. Well, thanks for coming on the show. I'm so happy you came on. You got to like share a little bit about you and what you do. Why don't you tell everybody like best way? I know you're really big on social media. That's how I feel like you and I don't hang out enough, but like we know so much about each other's lives because of social media. But why don't you tell people like how to get a hold of you, or what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Probably just by text. I mean, of course there's email, but I think most people these days are calling and texting. So my cell phone number is 530-344-3859. And then from there, I normally have a digital business card that I send out that has, social media, all that stuff on it.
Yeah, I feel
all
like
in
I'm the
one platform.
same. Texting's always the easiest because it's like we're on the go. You're showing homes constantly. Like, just text me. It's way easier.
Yeah. You can call me, but I'll probably have to call you back.
Yeah, because you're probably busy. And then wait till that baby comes because
He'll be crying in
you'll
the
be like,
back.
yeah, sorry, there's a kid in the background. But people are so understanding. It's great.
I'm sure people love it. Most people.
Most people do. I think, I mean, luckily, same with you. Like you've had the same clients for quite some time. So you pick up the phone, you have a kid crying in the background. They're like, hey, is that Kennedy? Like,
Yeah,
they know, you know?
And they know the kid.
Yeah, which kid is that? Well, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Talking a little bit about you. And thanks for everybody listening. We appreciate you listening.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Everyone have a good one.